Film, gaming, pop culture. Welcome to episode 11 of Everything is Permitted. I'm your host, Julian Brown, alongside my faithful cohort and co-host, Matt Reppert.
How you doing, everybody?
How you doing, man?
I am doing good. Obviously, we had a soccer game yesterday that we talked about briefly before we started recording. And the less said about that, the better.
The less said about that, the better indeed. We are at our home, Wade's Comic Madness, in the storage basement, which is our... We love it in this room. This is where all the good stuff is now since they've renovated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man. There's a lot of... I legit wonder, like, how much stuff is in this room. Like...
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like four like Infinity Gauntlets in here alone. So there's that. Also want to say hello to, we're doing this for the first time, our live crew. Hello to people watching live if you are, or watching later for that matter. We were going to record this episode on Tuesday, but things happen, and that didn't happen, which is now why we're doing it live. So you have an episode this week, and we'll also record next Sunday as well. So you'll basically have 2 episodes in a row. We have a lot to talk about this week. We're going to go over the winners of our first ever Golden Gauntlet Awards, which we're excited. There's some, just like the Oscars, there were some shocks here. Which I'm kind of surprised about. We'll get to that. And since we do have a lot to talk about, we're not going to do a permitted minute this week. We're just going to kind of get right into it. But before we do, I want to get into one rant. And I know our other main rant was going to be about the stupid fucking Aladdin, Will Smith bullcrap.
Just in case you were wondering what we were about to rant about.
Just in case, because I believe it's an important rant.
Oh,
But
yes.
I feel like we talk about this every week. You and I go get something at Best Buy. Well, I made a mistake last week, or maybe it was like a week and a half ago, and I was going to buy, I believe, the How to Train Your Dragon series, the Riders of Berk.
Yeah, the Defenders of Berk.
Riders of Berk. One of those. Yeah. And Karen was like, oh, maybe you should pick up Ralph Breaks the Internet while you're there, thinking that it was out already. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I will. But she's like, you don't have to. I was like, okay. So I see what I think is Ralph Breaks the Internet.
You bought the first one, didn't you?
I bought the first one. And listen, I'm happy I did. I bought the steelbook of the first one.
It's a good movie.
But
I enjoyed it.
It was funny because Cecily wanted to watch it the other day, and I was like, well, we don't own it. And Karen was like, yeah, we do. And I was like, okay. And I was like, so I went to my iTunes library so she could just watch the digital on my computer. And I was like, how do we own Wreck-It Ralph? I never bought Wreck-It Ralph because I still, even putting the digital copy in, thought it was...
What?
I know.
Were you like blind during this or something?
I have 2 kids. I'm tired.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll give you that.
All of the time. So that happened. So today, before I came over to start recording with you, Cecily and my wife Karen, who has been on the show multiple times, as you know, wanted to watch Ralph Breaks the Internet. And she's like, can I just grab the Blu-ray? I'm like, yeah, just grab it from the shelf. And she's like, I can't find it. I was like, oh, well, I may have put it under W for Wreck-It Ralph. She's like, I still don't see it. I'm like, it's there. And she finally finds it. And I'm like, see, look, Ralph Breaks the Internet. She's like, this isn't Ralph Breaks the Internet. And I was like, oh, shit. And she's like, well, don't worry, because Cecily really likes the first one, too. I'm like, no, you want to watch Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's the principle
of the thing, damn it.
So here I am thinking, I'm going to make a quick 15-minute drive to Best Buy. 1, I hit every goddamn red light imaginable. 2, I get there, our typical Oxford Valley. You managed to pick it up,
yes,
and it was out.
Because I got it the day that we got the 2 other steelbooks.
Yeah, and imagine this. Like, I'm there, and it says it's in stock, so I'm looking. Dude, had I not asked someone, I would have been looking forever. Because instead of being, a smart store and putting more of the steelbooks out, no. They just keep them all in the back. And the guy's like, well, it says we have them, so we're looking and looking and looking. Well, he's like, let me go check in the back. And of course he brings one out. And he's like, oh, you know what? It's not out yet. Can you give that back to me? I have to make sure it's not street dated. And I have my phone in my hand, and I'm like, 2/26/19. He's like, oh, that's all I needed to see. I'm like, come on. Like, why don't you put your product out?
Dude,
like, come on.
I know we discussed this briefly last episode, and as I said, like, I like Best Buy. I very rarely have had problems getting the things that I want from Best Buy, but by God, they're just absolutely terrible at, like, their website allowing me to pre-order something for pickup. Because
we had that problem with Captain America and Little Mermaid. They had, like, no stock.
I literally, just to give you folks a quick background here, is that like Julian and I have been waiting for the 4K Steelbook release of Captain America: The First Avenger for probably 2 months. I'd say,
yeah.
Really looking forward to it. And I know I've talked about this in the past, and I'll just bring it up briefly again, is that Oxford Valley Best Buy, for some reason, does not allow you to pre-order most of the crap that you are really looking forward to. Like, I could have pre-ordered Ralph Breaks the Internet. That was available for me to pre-order and pick up, but The Little Mermaid, Captain America, that stuff was like, not available. You told me
they
only
put one Little Mermaid.
Yes, because
they had like 4 at.
Because I walked into Best Buy as soon as it opened on Tuesday at 10 a.m. And I know where things are placed now in Oxford Valley. Like I know where to hit quickly, because there are people who are also out to get steelbooks and stuff like that. So I walk in, I grab Captain America, that they have like a new release display. I grab it there, and I also grabbed Ralph Breaks the Internet on that new display. And then I was like, all right, Little Mermaid, where is it? Gonna go check Disney. I find the one copy that they had, and I know it's the only copy they had because one of the employees, I was walking around just looking to see if there's anything else maybe I was interested in, and this one employee walked up to me and she goes, "You wouldn't happen to have a Little Mermaid steelbook on you, would you?" And I said, "Yeah, I do." And she goes, "Oh man," she goes, that's our only," she goes, "Hang on to it, that's our only Little Mermaid steelbook we have."
Oh, did she want it?
She might have.
Wow.
She might have, yeah.
Do you think that we're giving Best Buy like all the advertising they want in the world? I feel like we talk about them.
I feel like at this point that they should like almost pay us for the amount.
I know, like,
although it's not always positive because I'm talking about how much they suck at putting stuff out on the floor.
Well, if anyone from Best Buy is listening, if you would like to sponsor our show so we can get some more high tech equipment, I would take that.
And also just another sidebar is, I told you about, I sent you a photo of the Little Mermaid steelbook that Zavi offers, and because I talked to a guy at FYE, and he was like, "Yeah, are the steelbooks collectible?" I said, "Yeah, they're collectible." And he's like, "Well, I get like a 35% discount." I said, "Buy that Little Mermaid steelbook you guys have for $40. I said, "Hang on to it for a few months, but maybe the better part of a year." And I said, "I guarantee you're going to be able to flip it." Because I love the artwork of those, but as I told you, they've already started releasing too many.
That steelbook of Spider-Man: Homecoming is still going for I think $100.
Yeah.
So
I got lucky with mine when I bought it from some dude in Germany. It was used, but I didn't care. But.
Yeah. Let's get into our other big rant. I'm sure for anybody listening, anybody watching, you've probably seen the Aladdin trailer,
or at the very least seen the screenshots,
or got
Will
2
Smith.
seconds into it and decided that they wanted to kill themselves. Either way, I don't understand. I don't understand what Disney's doing. I mean, I get wanting to remake all these movies and make them pretty and make them live action, but I don't understand some of these casting choices for Aladdin. Before we even get into Will Smith, let's get into, I believe his name is, you found it, Marwan Kenzari.
Yes.
Who's playing Jafar. Mm-hmm. What have I been calling his voice in this trailer?
He's a weenie.
He's a weenie.
He's a high-pitched weenie.
Jafar in Aladdin is a strong, snaky.
I'm not gonna lie here. Jafar's voice in the original Aladdin cartoon movie, it is almost sexy. I would describe it. It's that slick, smooth, deep,
as it's supposed to be.
He's he's the guy who's like, "Your Majesty, you know that this is the right course." Like that's the stuff. That's when somebody mentions Jafar, I picture his voice. And in fact, the funny thing is, the guy who did the voice, he plays Jafar on Broadway in the Aladdin play, or the musical, I should say. Because my brother and sister-in-law saw him about a year ago, and they said, "Yeah, Jafar sounded really good," until we looked it up after the show was done and said, "Oh, that's the actual voice actor who played him."
I mean, and that's how he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be this guy who worms his way into powerful situations.
Yes.
He's a master of manipulation, as these really good characters in a lot of these Disney movies are. But and maybe he's supposed to have a light voice because maybe it's supposed to sound welcoming, but I think it just completely misses the mark in so many different ways. He doesn't sound like he has any command. He doesn't sound like he belongs in the movie. I have no problem with the guy. I haven't seen anything he's in. I'm sure he's good in whatever else he's been in. But from his voice alone, Jafar makes Aladdin just as much as Aladdin makes Aladdin, just as much as the genie makes Aladdin.
Yes.
This trailer showed
Aladdin, go get the lamp.
Bring me the lamp, Aladdin. Like that's how he sounded. So I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't know. Like, honestly, most of these live action Disney remakes almost like they hearken to that era of the late 90s, early 2000s when Eisner was in the last few years of his rule running Disney. And they very much remind me almost of like the direct-to-video era of sequels that Disney used to make for their movies. And obviously the quality is miles better for these live-action movies, but they're crapping out these movies. And I mean, I know some people like Jungle Book. They said that was a solid adaptation.
Jon Favreau,
I didn't see
Jon Favreau's directing. He's directing Lion King. He's not directing Aladdin. I don't think.
I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. But I know that a lot of people didn't like the Beauty and the Beast live action. They said Emma Watson did not make a good Belle, the Beast. And I mean, I've watched, I haven't watched the movie, but I've seen enough reviews of it that I pretty much have seen most of the movie. And, the Beast doesn't look as decent as he did in the live action. The character motivations are different. And the way, I mean, it's like Disney is trying to capitalize on nostalgia. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, like I went out and purchased the Little Mermaid 4K Steelbook.
These
like
are movies that we grew up with. Like,
I mean, yeah, and Little Mermaid was probably one of the first movies I demanded to see when I was a kid.
And Karen will be so happy to hear you say that because Little Mermaid is her favorite Disney movie.
Oh, I mean, don't get me wrong, it has some killer freaking songs. Like actually, literally a couple days ago, I was listening to on YouTube part of Your World, and I was like, this song is awesome. Like,
I have to tell you, I had to call Karen after the other day at home. Cecily was watching Little Mermaid, and Sebastian is doing Under the Sea, and Cecily's on my office chair, and I should have yelled at her for doing it, but I couldn't because it was so damn cute. She was jumping up and down on my office chair going, under the sea, under the sea, under the sea. And I was like, you rock, girl, you rock. And it made me so happy.
But that shows the timelessness of those animated movies. And I mean, I'm hoping they do a 4K Steelbook release of Aladdin before the live action comes out, or maybe around the same time. Because I'll get that.
It off how successful this Lion King and Aladdin are, though.
Yeah, true.
Then again, and Dumbo.
Yeah, and Dumbo. I mean, the thing is that Disney, like, they're kind of weird with the Steelbook releases that they have. So far, the Steelbooks that they've released, and I have them, I actually had to drive to another county to get one. But I have, in my Steelbook collection, I have Lady and the Tramp. It's not a 4K, but it's a Steelbook, and it's the Disney Signature Collection, which the Lion King 4K Steelbook, obviously the Little Mermaid Steelbook 4K. And the one that I had to drive to get was Peter Pan Steelbook.
Oh, okay. Did they do a 4K release of that?
They didn't.
Oh,
it's a Steelbook, though. It's part of the Disney
Yeah.
Signature Collection. But, so you think that Disney would kind of start at Snow White and start making their way up, or maybe doing like a big release, because I think that The Little Mermaid, I think it's like the 20 or 30 year anniversary of its release, so that's why they're releasing it.
I mean, listen, I know there's a lot of controversy surrounding Little Mermaid these days as being, a little overly sexist, but I mean, it depends on who you talk to. I still love the film. I know Karen still loves the film. You got to remember the 80s and 90s, and especially who Walt Disney was. Like, some of these movies sometimes aren't as politically correct as they are.
Well,
now.
Little Mermaid came out in 1989.
Yeah,
I mean, just think of how different the world is. Because I mean, also like something that people kind of seem to forget is that Ariel is like 16, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Like, so she's not even an adult, and she's like getting married to Prince Eric, and and they're gonna go have a family. It's like she's 16. Like, that's the difference. Which is one of the minor, like, or I should say, major differences between entertainment in the 80s and 90s versus today. Like
Yeah.
there's like, because I know that I think they're doing a live action Little Mermaid.
I mean, I assume they will.
I know it's been
matter of
heavily
time.
rumored,
Yeah.
and I don't know if there's been any official word on it yet, but I mean, you cannot. I doubt very highly Ariel will be 16
No.
in the live action
No.
Little Mermaid remake if they do it.
I think sometime we should do a show based around on how all of these Disney movies connect. There's all sorts of facts about how the movies connect, and there's all sorts of fan theories about how all these Disney movies are connected. I know Karen is an encyclopedia of how everything connects. So I think that would be a really fun show sometime. Let's get into when Aladdin walks into the cave, the loot cave, as we'll say.
Cave of Wonder.
And rubs that good old lamp, and you got the magic carpet there with him, which the animation on that, I'll give them credit, looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
And out comes a blue Will Smith. Not like an over animatized like character. It's literally
They just like Will just hang on for a second, just dumped a bucket of blue paint on him.
Blue with Will Smith with the braid, and then he starts talking like Will Smith.
Yes.
Listen, Robin Williams had a very distinct voice. Don't get me wrong. But it was still a fresh new character when he came out of that lamp. Like everything else that Robin Williams does. And then Will Smith comes, you ain't heard of me?
Genie, y'all don't know about it.
Yeah, come on, man.
And that's the thing is that and we've basically already touched upon that idea, is that it's just Will Smith with blue paint on him.
Yeah.
He's not this, and the thing is, you were never going to duplicate Robin Williams. You weren't. And I know some people were like, they should have just done a CGI animated thing and just use Robin Williams' voice from the original movie. They couldn't do that. They were never going to be able to do that because there's going to be extra scenes with the genie, with Aladdin, with all this other stuff going on, scenes that Robin Williams just never did. So they were never going to accomplish that. They should have, they should have made him totally CG. That's one thing that I can already, just looking at this initial thing, I'm just like, you shouldn't have had live action Will Smith at all.
They could have gotten so many different actors too. I just don't think that Will Smith embodies man, I could see Aziz Ansari as the genie. I think that would be cool. I could see, even though he's playing why can't I remember his name? In The Lion King, he's playing Zazu.
John Oliver.
John Oliver. There's so many good actors out there who were funny. Will Smith isn't funny anymore.
You could have honestly, they could, as I said, if you'd gone with a CG genie, you could have hired a top talent voice actor to step into that role, because the thing about the genie is a cartoon, and I don't mean that just in the way of Aladdin. It was animated, it was hand drawn back in the day, but his movements, the way he's constantly, and that was just how Robin Williams was, is that they obviously gave Robin Williams a script, but then he started just going off and being Robin Williams, and then they built a character around that. So, this constantly shifting time periods of characters that he would voice and stuff like that. Will Smith is not going to do that. Will Smith is incapable of doing that, in my opinion. The thing, too,
is that Will Smith is just it's a different kind of comedy for Will Smith.
Yes.
You got, he's great in Men in Black with Tommy Lee Jones. Bad Boys 1 and 2 are some of my favorite movies. They're making Bad Boys 3. He has a specific kind of humor. And listen, he's been in some good, serious stuff, too. But when I think of the genie and I think about the kind of humor and comedy that Will Smith does and Robin Williams, I would have never put Robin Williams and Will Smith in a movie together. I don't think that they would. I think it would be too much of a power struggle.
Robin Williams is more slapstickish type humor, and Will Smith is
different characters, and Will Smith is just straight up comedy and funny.
Obviously it's. They still have a few months to put out another trailer that sells me.
Yeah, sell me. Sell me.
Because basically what Disney just did was they opened up the storefront, they pulled back the curtain, and the product they have on display, I'm like, I'm going to keep walking down the street. Like, so you have, like, I'm going to be walking by your store every day, essentially. Like, you have a few months to put something else in that storefront for me to go, okay, I'll walk in and see what you got.
And that's the thing. Like, Lion King has me hook, line, and sinker. Okay. Dumbo. Dude, I feel like Dumbo is for me. Like, I think that was the first Disney movie I ever saw. That has me by my heartstrings. Like, the music, that movie's got a great cast. That has me going, and I hope to God they don't fuck it up. And then you just release these two god-awful trailers that are like... Ugh. And what are they going to do with the monkey? Apu. It's Apu, right?
Yeah, Apu. I think they said Apu is in it, because
Yeah.
I remember reading that Apu will be in it, but I don't know if he's live action, if he's CG, if he...
Anyway, let us know in the comments if you're watching live what you think about Aladdin. If not, you can always email us, Facebook, Instagram us. We want to know what you think about the upcoming Aladdin film and the other two big Disney films coming out in Dumbo and The Lion King.
Yes.
The Oscars were last Sunday. It's
Yep.
a good segue since Disney's done very well at the Oscars over the years. And there were a lot of pros to the Oscars this year. There were a lot of cons. We're going to go down and talk about some of the big ones and some of the ones that kind of pertain to the show that we do. Obviously, Green Book won big, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Black Panther first. Black Panther won 3 Oscars. It was up there with the multiple Oscar winners.
Okay.
It won for costume design, which I think was fantastic in Black Panther.
Yeah, no major complaints about it.
They did some really awesome stuff there. And then it won Best Original Score. All these Marvel movies have incredible scores. This was Ludwig Göransson's first foray into the Marvel universe, so it was something different than what we've heard in any of the other films. I know some people thought that the score for I don't understand why, but for If Beale Street Could Talk from Nicholas Britell should have won. I didn't see the movie, so I don't really know. Alexander Desplat, who was fired, if you don't remember, from Rogue One, was also nominated for Isle of Dogs.
Okay.
He didn't win. Do you know that story? He was fired from Rogue One about 2 months before the movie came out. And Michael Giacchino, who's my favorite film composer, had to come in and write a score basically in 4 weeks.
Oh, wow.
To Rogue One, which I thought was actually a very good score.
No, it was definitely
considering that he only had 4 weeks to do it. But Black Panther won there, so that's number 2. And then for the third, it was nominated for Best Original Song, which was interestingly the only song that wasn't performed at the Oscars this year. Was the Kendrick Lamar song, All the Stars. It didn't win. My girl, Lady Gaga, won for Shallow. Here we go. And then finally, its third Oscar won for... This was a shock. I was really happy with this. Achievement in Production Design, which is a pretty big Oscar. So I was really stoked for that. This website stinks.
Yeah.
I think the other nominees were Roma, Mary Poppins, First Man, and The Favorite. I think the biggest one for you and I to talk about is Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse won Best Animated Picture, and it should have.
Yes, it absolutely deserved it.
I know Ralph Breaks the Internet was on there. Isle of Dogs, I believe, right? Was
yeah, Isle of Dogs was on there.
Yeah.
I know. I remember that during our last time we recorded that I said my opinion was it was a 3-way horse between Ralph Breaks the Internet, Into the Spider-Verse, and what was the third movie? It was another The Incredibles 2.
Yeah, and The Incredibles 2 is on there.
Incredibles 2. That was my opinion was it was between those 3 with, I believe I said that I gave the edge to Into the Spider-Verse just because it kind of had more momentum.
Yeah.
Culturally, like popularity, because I know a lot of people liked Incredibles 2, but I didn't hear the same buzz about it as I did the first one. And
well, here's the deal with that too. I mean, you look at it in the Spider-Verse, which is basically a movie artistically it's never been done before. Something completely new and brilliant. You have Ralph Breaks the Internet, which is the same old CG animation that's been being done for years now. Same thing with Incredibles 2. I would say that those two are the big names. But like if you were going for originality, like then Mirai, which actually I never heard of until I saw their little snippet of it. I actually really want to see now. It's just like, awesome like Japanese animation, and then Isle of Dogs, which is I believe it's the stop motion.
Yeah, the stop motion hands,
which is always just really cool.
Yeah.
So, but Into the Spider-Verse, like, how awesome is it to have something with the name Spider-Man win an Oscar? Like, I just thought that was...
No, and I mean, it's kind of going back to our previous episode, but hopefully this kind of signals the new era of how we can do comic book movies. Just we can have more fun with it. We can, have these different art styles, these different, I mean, I'm hoping that this is the green light for companies or Disney or whomever to say, hey, let's start putting money into making these animated superhero movies that are artsy, that just, will give the director or whoever, the creative license to do how they see fit.
Yeah.
I mean, and while I enjoy the Marvel movies very much, you can't argue that they're kind of cookie cutter. They have a certain feel to them, a certain style to them. And
I mean, the thing with the Marvel movies is that they're all in one way or another building up to Avengers Endgame, which is now a little over a month away. Oh my god. Can't wait. But that's what makes the Marvel's movies, what they are, and who knows what happens now.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously we've gushed about Into the Spider-Verse. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Actually, in a few weeks, the movie comes out.
I believe you can get it on iTunes now.
You can get it on Vudu as well.
Yep.
You can buy it digitally, and actually the funny thing is, though, maybe I haven't seen it yet, but they're not doing a 4K Steelbook release. It's a Blu-ray DVD digital copy.
No, they're doing a 4K.
All right, well, it's not Steelbook, I don't think.
I think it is. We'll have to look after.
Yeah.
This next topic, talking about the Oscars, because we saw the commercial for it, I know that you're pretty stoked about. I'm pretty stoked about it. If you want to do the honors here.
Which are we talking about? The big... Okay. So, obviously, Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone.
Yes.
So, now, the thing is, my wife is so pumped to see the Twilight Zone. I don't know how much of the original show she watched. I haven't really watched pretty much anything, because it kind of obviously came out long before I was born. I am a fan of the Twilight Zone movie, which came out in the 80s, the remake of Terror at 20,000 Feet, which they called Terror at 30,000 Feet with John Lithgow instead of William Shatner. And if you haven't seen Twilight Zone, the movie, it is very interesting to watch. It can scare the shit out of you.
Yes,
because, I mean, the gremlin, or whatever you want to call it, in Terror at 30,000 Feet for years haunted my nightmares. That thing freaked me the hell out. I mean, now that I'm older, I'm kind of like, this thing is pretty damn cool. Just the way it moves and everything like that. Obviously there's other stories that I'm not going to get into, but so Jordan Peele's Twilight Zone. And the thing is that I'm excited for it. The thing that sucks, it's on CBS All Access, which I do not have.
Come over and watch it in my house.
Yeah, but my wife Heather kind of said, like, maybe we should get it just because she wants to watch it. She's into like more horror stuff than I am. So, I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. Because the thing is, I know that Black Mirror I think it's a British show. That's kind of like the hotness that everybody goes, because they did their Bandersnatch episode on Netflix, which I know a lot of people liked.
I hear it's awesome.
It's an interesting idea.
That's like do your own adventure, right?
Yes, it's an interesting idea. I enjoyed it when when Heather and I watched it and played it. Essentially, we enjoyed it. I wasn't as awestruck, blown away by it as some people were, just because I've kind of experienced that whole medium for years. I mean, growing up as a PC gamer, like those choose your own adventure games were something that like existed.
And the books,
and the books, obviously. So I wasn't blown away by it, but I know that Black Mirror is like the hotness that, like, for the last few years, everybody has kind of been on the train with. But Twilight Zone, hopefully, the original is reemerging to kind of take its crown back, to basically kind of just slap Black Mirror aside and say,
we're back, bitch.
Yeah, like this is, and honestly, like Jordan Peele running it, like gives me a lot of hope because, I know that's something that we're definitely going to talk about, but Jordan Peele has kind of established himself as the guru of modern day, like suspense horror.
Oh, 100%.
And it's kind of funny because, like, he got his start obviously on Key and Peele, a comedy show, and the show is hilarious. Like, I've seen numerous episodes of Key and Peele, and it never fails to make me laugh my ass off, especially some of the skits are timeless. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know if I'll get all access, but I'm definitely looking forward to it.
I'll tell you what, I was exposed to the Twilight Zone kind of by happenstance because as a kid, I would sit in the basement and back in the days of VHS, the Sci-Fi Channel was doing a marathon of Star Trek the original series, and I wanted to make sure I had every single episode. So I was taping the marathon. And back in that day, Sci-Fi Channel showed a lot of Twilight Zone reruns.
Yeah.
So I'd either, just throw on the Sci-Fi Channel by accident and just start watching Twilight Zone, or I'd watch it after or before Star Trek the original series was on. And yeah, it scared the shit out of you. Like there were just so many like screwed up episodes. I mean, obviously Terror 20,000 Feet is a classic.
Yeah.
But it's just the minute that you play that music, and sometimes that show would come on at like midnight, and a family member of mine, like, I used to sleep in the room if I got scared.
Yeah.
But sometimes like leave the TV on at night, and I'd wake up and hear ding 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 ding, and I'd be like, oh my god. But yeah, so I love the Twilight Zone a lot. And talking about Jordan Peele, who, like you said, is just a genius. He won Best Director for Get Out, which is one of the most fucked up movies I've seen in maybe like the past 10 years. So the question is, was that kind of like an accidental like audition for, hey, let's reboot the Twilight Zone? Have you seen Jordan Peele's Get Out movie?
I think it was, you could argue, it was an accidental audition, but also I think more than that, it was just establishing his cred.
Yeah.
Because it was, now it's like, all right, Jordan Peele obviously knows what he's doing, and if you haven't seen the trailer for the movie Us, it looks creepy as hell, very interesting, looking forward to seeing it. So, like, Jordan Peele is, for all intents and purposes, whether you agree with it or not right now, he is kind of the horror guy. Yeah. He is the current generation's version of Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah.
You could make that argument.
That's a bold statement, but after only kind of one
movie.
I'm not disagreeing.
I know, but let's be fair here, is that what other horror director...
Maybe Rob Zombie? Maybe?
Even then, like, Rob Zombie to me is like gore horror. It's or the very, like, visceral, realistic, like, oh god, like, this is uncomfortable to sit through because everybody in this movie is a terrible person.
Well, you can make the argument if where is it on here now? Us is just as successful and messed up, which I'm sure it will be, is Get Out. And then if Twilight Zone is successful, he really could be the Hitchcock of his time. Now he needs to continue, I believe, making movies of this nature. And I like you said, like Key and Peele.
Yeah.
Like you said, always I laugh my ass off every single time. But already I love Get Out more than any comedy he ever did.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like you said, Us looks 10 times more creepy than Get Out was. A question, like, when did this happen? Did it happen before Get Out? Like, did he do any shorts? Like, because he was so, like, integral in comedy. Like,
I think what happened is that, like, Get Out is, it caught a lot of people off guard because, and this is the thing that, like, a lot of people don't understand about horror movies, is that they've grown up in the era of, like, persons walking around, oh, the guy jumps out. It's a jump scare.
Yeah.
And that is not horror, at least not true horror.
No, it's not.
Like that, it's startling. It's like, oh, like, and that's easy to do to people. That's easy to have the loud musical sting or the loud sound with the sudden thing appearing. It takes a lot more artistry as a filmmaker, director, whatever, to basically build tension, to build that idea, that fear in your mind that, you're starting to like you're feeling it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, and I tell people is that I'm very easy to startle. Like you can and I'm gonna, oh God, but that's not scaring me.
Yeah.
That's startling me. And so I think that Get Out basically did the idea of like that slow build, that build up, and people haven't had that for a while. Like, I mean, there's a lot of the B movies that, are made and everything, but those aren't mainstream.
Yeah.
Get Out was mainstream. And so people kind of tasted the food, if you will, and they decided they liked
Did
it.
Get nominated for Best Movie last year as
I don't
well?
know.
I have to look that up because I mean, winning Best Director alone for that movie is outstanding. But if it got
but that's the thing. It's that's where like Jordan Peele actually like got his foot in the door and established himself.
Get Out was nominated for Best Picture in 2018. So I mean,
so as I said, the guy built his cred. That movie established him. That movie is what basically made people say, like, this guy can do horror. And I mean, and the funny thing is that, like, I saw the movie Keanu with him and Keegan-Michael Key, where it's a comedy movie, and it's nothing special about it. I mean, it made me laugh a few times, but I wasn't, as blown away by it, obviously, as Get Out, which obviously was a far superior movie. So,
and I mean, and maybe this is the start of his, as you said, Hitchcock run, because I'm looking at all of Hitchcock's nominations right now, and it's horror, and he was just nominated. I think he probably won some of these as well. I'm not going to do the deep dive into it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm looking forward.
Oh no, I most certainly am. I'm curious to see what because I don't know if Jordan Peele is going to direct any of these shorts or if he's just kind of the one overseeing the show.
I would imagine, since he's attached and he's like kind of like the host, that he's going to end up writing and directing at least a couple of the episodes. I mean, why else attach him to it?
Well, I mean, also once again, like if you attach his name to it, people like my wife who might like the Twilight Zone, but now are like, oh, Jordan Peele's attached to it, like awesome,
and
like,
great,
I'm in.
Yeah, great segue into talking about CBS All Access,
Yes.
which you mentioned earlier. They're trying desperately, and not desperate anymore, to get people to subscribe to their platform with Star Trek Discovery, which has been having another fantastic season. According to CBS, they hit their 4 million subscriber mark early this year, so that means that people are buying the Kool-Aid, basically.
Yeah.
Is it the right platform, though? Should it have been a Netflix? Should it have been Prime? CBS has the rights, so I mean, is this where it needs to be? Would it have succeeded on network television or cable television?
The thing is that I don't know about the long-term viability of CBS All Access, because Star Trek Discovery and now Twilight Zone, what else are they putting on there? What else are they doing to entice someone like myself to get it?
I know they have a couple other like dramas. But I mean, okay, so in late 2019, or is it early 2020? Picard. I'm getting CBS All Access if I didn't already have it, just for that.
Yeah.
A spin-off of Discovery in Section 31, which is like the Black Ops.
Yeah, oh yeah, I trust me.
Also really cool. And listen, like that's got star power. That's starring Michelle Yeoh. So you have that. I mean, is the Twilight Zone a big enough title, though, to drive up their numbers?
I think that if Twilight Zone takes off, if people because they basically Twilight Zone has to hit it out of the park in the first 2 or 3 episodes. It has to have that mind-bending story where people are talking about it at work the next day, where people are like, dude, I watched the Twilight Zone on CBS All Access yesterday and it was amazing. I was freaked out. I was creeped, whatever. They need that episode. If they need that buzz. They need that. And the thing is that you loaned me Star Trek Discovery and I've begun watching it. I think I'm in the 3rd episode right now, and I enjoy it. I've enjoyed it. We're getting slightly off topic. It's Star Trek, but it's not the Star Trek I grew up with. And I know we've talked
about
like how honestly the Orville has become my de facto Star Trek. You know, I like Discovery so far for what it is.
And we'll have to do an episode.
Yeah, we'll have to do an episode breaking that down.
But speaking of having to hit it out of the park, in an episode that we've been talking about, one of the first episodes that they are going to tackle is they are going to be remaking Terror at 20,000 Feet for the new one. But it doesn't say specifically, but I think that Peele is either writing or directing or both of that.
Yeah.
So if they do that,
I mean Terror, because as I said, like Terror 20,000 was the original Twilight Zone show with the horrible like gorilla ape or whatever it was outfit that the dude on the wing was wearing, and then Terror at 30,000 Feet was the quote unquote modern update that they did for the movie. That honestly, that's the episode. Like, you need that episode to crush it. You need that episode to be amazing.
It's so funny. I always take Terror at 20,000 Feet and I kind of put it in like the same realm. I always think of the two together as Stephen King's The Langoliers, which
that's a movie I haven't seen.
Oh my god, creeps me out every time as well. And that's not even that well done, and it's still
the Langoliers movie is very cheesy,
but for some reason had the creep factor. Anyway, Twilight Zone will debut on CBS All Access, I believe, later this year.
Okay, actually, I think it comes out in like a month or two.
So there you go. I have CBS All Access, so maybe you can come over and we'll watch the first episode, 2 episodes, and we'll talk about it some more.
Outstanding.
So now it is that time. You voted. We listened. We're going to tell you if you were wrong. The 2018...
We're going to tell you all.
Yes, all of you. The 2018 Golden Gauntlets going into 2019, but these were for the year of 2018. So we're going to go off our list here, starting from the top. The first Golden Gauntlet for Best Television Season of 2018 goes to...
The Magicians Season 3.
I was really happy to see this win, actually.
Yeah,
and I'm not even finished with the season yet.
And the funny thing is, I've tried to get my wife to watch The Magicians for a while now. Like, I've just been pushing it on her, constantly saying, and don't get me wrong, The Magicians doesn't blow my mind as television. It is what it is. I enjoy it highly. But honestly, the seasons have been getting better.
Yeah.
And that's the funny thing, is because, a lot of TV, it's kind of the opposite. Like, the first season's amazing, and then it starts going downhill.
Cough, cough, arrow, cough. I was very happy to see that one. I was kind of shocked that The Haunting of Hill House or Daredevil Season 3 didn't take this, because Haunting of Hill House was so widely acclaimed. I loved it. Daredevil Season 3 was the show's best season.
Yeah.
If it was me, even though I hadn't finished Magician Season 3, I probably would have voted for one of those two. But having said that, I'm not going to pick any of those as my pick, because I'm happy Season 3 won. Because we talked about this one day. I think you came over to drop, the thing off for me. Mm-hmm. And I said that I think they did their best episode of the series in Season 3 when Quentin and, why do I always forget his name? It doesn't matter. And his friend go into Fillory in the past to get one of these keys, and they basically spend, spoiler alert, an eternity there, trying to figure out this puzzle. And it was just so well done.
But as I said, you still haven't seen what
I know,
what I consider the greatest ending to almost any television episode ever.
Later tonight, when the snow starts, I'm gonna force Karen to watch a couple more episodes, because I have to get into it. But it's such a well done show, and I think Season 4 is gonna be its last. No, they haven't.
No, I haven't heard anything about them ending it. But
yeah. So I'm stoked that one. Would you have picked anything different? Or?
No, I think I probably would have gone with Magicians Season 3. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It advanced the characters, it advanced the plot. I was interested to see what happened next. That's all I can ask for a TV show.
Yeah.
Is, I want to see how the story unfolds. If a TV show can do that, that is my benchmark.
We go from best television season of 2018 to the worst video game of 2018. Now, there's some controversy surrounding this one with some comments, but the Golden Gauntlet goes to...
Fallout 76.
Now, there's a lot of people who's come up to me and said now, Fallout 76 launched with a lot of issues, but they've done a really good job of getting things back. And I'm like,
no, they haven't.
Like, there's half of the other people telling me, no, they have not.
All right. A friend of mine at work, he plays on Xbox like I do, and he and I play Destiny together, at times. And he was like, I want to get out of Destiny. He's like, so I'm going to pick up Fallout 76 when it came out. And he told me nothing, and this was out with, because occasionally I ask him like, oh, how's Fallout 76 going? He's like, terrible. And he's describing all this crap that's happened to him in game, like, oh, he built this house or something, oh, it got destroyed because of like there's dickweeds running around or something like that basically blew it up, or some crap like that. And then like a couple weeks ago when I saw him, I asked him, I said like, oh, how's Fallout 76 been going? And he's like, it's going terrible. Like he has not, like, at first he tried to kind of like almost convince me or himself that it was, it was fun. Like, it had its problems, but it was fun. But then now he's like, anytime I've asked him about it, he's just been like, it's not good. It's terrible.
That's too bad. It really is. I take it that would be your
I mean, what were other options here? I don't.
Your
have
other
the list in front of
choices
me.
were Agony, The Quiet Man, and Metal Gear Survive.
Yeah, I'll have to go with Fallout 76 because probably with a close second being Metal Gear Survive, because Fallout 76 took an established franchise that I dearly loved. I own pretty much every Fallout game except this one. I have no intention of ever buying 76. I bought the first Fallout when it came out in 1998, I believe it was, on PC. Like one of my, and that's a topic we'll have to discuss, the best year in gaming, because 98 was probably one of the best ever. But yeah, Fallout 76 took an established franchise that I loved and enjoyed highly and basically killed it.
Well, there it is, the Golden Gauntlet for worst game of 2018. Moving back into the silver screen for just a minute, the worst movie of 2018. This was a no-brainer.
Oh, God, no.
The Golden Gauntlet goes to 50 Shades Free, and I don't even think we really need to focus on it. There were a few people. The other nominees were Venom, the new Robin Hood, which looked fucking god-awful, and Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, which I saw, which was god-awful. People said there are a lot of people that really liked Venom. And I still haven't seen it, so maybe I can
loan it to you. I
got
it, but
I got to give it a chance.
I mean, I put it on, like, honestly, because I think I was the one who nominated for the list, but Venom was okay. It wasn't poorly made, but it kind of delved into, not spoiling it, but at the end, it kind of delved into, like, Eddie Brock and the symbiote are arguing.
Oh.
And they're, obviously like, oh, I want to eat people. Like, no, Venom, you can't. That's not, like, that kind of crap where it's just like, come on, man. Like, what are you doing? And, of course, they had to sequel bait with Carnage.
Oh, of course. Woody Harrelson, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson, I mean, like, I put it on there because I felt it could have been more. It could have been better. It could have been, way more than it is. However, I certainly am not going to argue with 50 Shades Freed.
No, nor should anybody, because those movies just keep coming and keep...
I think that was the last one, though. I think 50 Shades Freed is the final one
God.
in the 50 Shades trilogy, I think it is.
Heading back into the video game realm, the best open world game, Golden Gauntlet, goes to Red Dead Redemption 2. The other nominees were Spider-Man, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Far Cry 5. Open world-wise, I think this deserves the win. I do. Spider-Man was wonderful and fantastic in a great New York City, but Red Dead 2 was so vast and you could play that game and beat it and still not go close to everywhere on that map.
No, I mean, it's Spider-Man, as you said, was a very well-made game. I enjoyed the hell out of it, but I felt that Red Dead 2 did a better world-building experience out of it. You got the snowy mountains, you got the desert, you got all that stuff in between. You got you have the urban areas, because I remember when I first went into Saint Denis, I literally was awestruck,
blown away
with like the detail, the artistry in the streets and the buildings, the dirt and the dirt on the, you're walking and all that. So I have zero objections about Red Dead 2. I could understand if people would have voted for Spider-Man, but Red Dead 2 is obviously a fine pick.
I mean, I've beaten Red Dead 2, and I still haven't even been to a huge portion of the map, because it's not even really You can't really go there anyway until you've beaten the game, which is cool. So, like, I'm not going to throw it in my PlayStation for a while, but, like, there's going to be a point of, like, oh, man, I want to go do some more things that I haven't completed yet in Red Dead 2, and I'll go there and be, like, kind of blown away by it all over again. So I think that Red Dead Redemption 2 really does deserve the best open world Golden Gauntlet. So we will go now to best RPG. Now, moment of I need the gavel of contention here. Before we even announce this one, people were complaining, Paul, that
Man, just call him out.
He'll love it. That AC Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, was not, and Rick, hi Rick, was not a true RPG. You're not wrong, but it is an RPG. If it has RPG elements and it affects the story and there's different endings, it's an RPG.
Yeah.
Now, also, you can't tell us basically that it doesn't deserve to be on this list when 2018 barely gave us any good RPGs in the first place.
No, I know that because I know that we had discussed this. Is that like there was, I think, a PlayStation exclusive, and it had one of those Japanese names that I'm not going to be able to pronounce. I'm not even going to try and look it up. But I had zero experience with it whatsoever. Like, I didn't see trailers for it. I didn't see gameplay for it. So I mean, honestly, and I think it was even mentioned in one of the comments about, like, why wasn't this game on there? And honestly, I have no experience with it. I mean, I can only nominate things that I at least have some kind of passing knowledge of.
The other options nominees were Kingdom Come Deliverance, which was an RPG.
Yep.
Octopath Traveler, absolutely an RPG. I have it. I haven't played a lot of it yet. And Monster Hunter's World. Monster Hunter World. I don't even know how the damn game is pronounced. Anyway, for best RPG, the Golden Gauntlet goes to
Monster Hunter World.
And that kind of says everything you need to know.
Yeah.
About the state of RPGs that were in
2018. Because, I mean, honestly, me personally, I wasn't a fan of Monster Hunter World. I bought it when it came out. I played it. Granted, I'll be the first to admit that Xbox apparently had some big issues with matchmaking and things like that, which obviously have been fixed. But I fell out of it really quickly.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it like I enjoyed Kingdom Come Deliverance, a game which I very much enjoyed. I'm a Kickstarter of. I backed it. Assassin's Creed Odyssey,
which
obviously.
I really thought was fantastic as well.
I enjoyed Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Don't get me wrong, it had its problems. I'm not going to say it was a perfect game, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey I also enjoyed. Like, I would have definitely put either Kingdom Come or Assassin's Creed over Monster Hunter World.
For me, for best RPG, just because it's a true RPG, it harkens back to the days of the 80s and that kind of style RPG, would have been the Switch exclusive Octopath Traveler, because it out of all of these, I think it's like a real hardcore Zelda-like RPG.
Okay.
So that would be my choice. And you said either AC Odyssey or Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
What if you had to pick one?
That's a tough call for me. I'll probably give the slight edge to AC Odyssey just because there was more to do in it. There was more, but don't get me wrong though, is that Kingdom Come, as I said, this is a tough choice because Kingdom Come as well was so real that your character can't read at first. And the game even says, like, guess what? A blacksmith's son wouldn't have been able to read in like 16th century Bohemia. Yeah. So your character has to learn to read at one point. That's a quest you can do.
Wow.
Where you basically pay a guy to teach you how to read. And that's because whenever you open a book before you can read, it's all just jumbled letters.
Oh, wow. That's really neat, actually.
Yeah, and that's really, the kind of
really
stuff.
Cool.
That's the kind of little attention to detail that I liked about Kingdom Come. I will give the slight edge to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but Kingdom Come is like right there nipping at its heels.
Yeah. We move on to Best Shooter of 2018, and the winner of this shocked me.
Yeah.
The Golden Gauntlet goes to
Far Cry 5.
Far Cry 5, with the other nominees being Call of Duty Black Ops 4, Battlefield 5, and Just Cause 4, which was also, it's a shooter, but
it's open world. We kind of stretched it a little bit for Just Cause. I mean, I guess I can't argue with Far Cry 5 just because it is like a pure shooter, and I mean, let's be fair, the options weren't great.
I'm gonna argue against Far Cry 5
what are you going for then?
Hardcore been playing Battlefield 5.
Okay.
Let me tell you, Battlefield 5 is one of the... It is as good a shooter as Destiny 1 and 2, where as far as the mechanics and how good it feels to shoot weapons in this game. I've been playing a lot. I squatted up with my buddies on Friday night. Sniping has never been more fun. In all of the Battlefield games, I've always been sniper first. It feels good. The mechanics of it feel good. The hit ratios feel just right. The maps are just amazing. They really capture how much of a hellhole and how much devastation and destruction there was in World War II. And I had to vote for best shooter as well, because Battlefield 5 and EA, mainly because a lot of the controversy surrounding loot boxes and DLC, all the DLC for Battlefield 5 this year is free. So, I think that alone.
That is a solid thing, but and I know that I've talked about this. We're gonna have to have an episode. Like, I enjoyed Battlefield 1 over Battlefield 5.
I thought Battlefield 1 was fantastic as well, and I think I like the maps better in Battlefield 1, but I like the shooting better in Battlefield 5.
I didn't like the shooting in Battlefield 5. I felt the guns didn't have the same oomph.
Yeah, see, I think they do, and I know that the guy who
maybe
designed Battlefield 5 is like... It was like an esports guru, like played in all these tournaments and like really made sure that it was very, very shooter friendly.
We're probably gonna have to agree to disagree.
We will, yeah. So Battlefield 5 for me, and you're sticking with...
I'll stick with Far Cry 5.
I'll stick with Far Cry 5. All right. Moving on to... Now this one got me a little bit. I'm not happy with this one either. The Golden Gauntlet for Best Video Game Character of the Year goes to...
Kratos.
Man, no.
The funny thing is, I can see why, and granted, I haven't beat God of War yet. I did play through a little chunk of it when my Xbox was down. I was interested in the Kratos character, but I wasn't like blown away by him. It was... he's obviously very different. He's kind of more quiet and reserved. He's just this gruff, hardened, I know that a lot of people, like, pretty much, one of the most common things he just says is boy. So that's where a lot of people say, like God of Boy, Man of Boy of War.
Boy the whole game. Why don't you just vote for Dutch? Dutch did it too.
There were a few moments when they kind of opened up the book a little bit to let you glimpse more at the character, because it's not spoiler because it happens right in the beginning, but his wife or whoever is dead, and he kind of like half talks to her spirit, kind of like talking to himself about, what's going on during their journey and stuff like that. And that's the interesting Kratos to me, because, and obviously I do find it interesting about the whole idea of, obviously the Norse gods are kind of aware who this guy is, and they're kind of like going after him.
Yeah.
So
who
would you have picked?
I have to pick one, and I like you with which one was it for best open world? It's between Peter Parker and Dutch for me. I think I'd have to give the slight advantage to Dutch, just because he was right out of a Western. Yeah. I don't know the voice actor's name, but he was fantastic. Played the good guy who's really not a good guy so well. And to a point where even though he's not good, that you feel for him in his situation.
Yeah.
And you could say the same thing about Peter Parker in PS4 struggling, like in the comics and any of the series, with being Peter Parker and being Spider-Man and keeping the secret from people.
I have to agree. As much as I enjoyed what I saw of Kratos, I probably would also give the nod to Dutch as well, because Dutch, I felt, was played very subtle. There was that subtle undercurrent of menace, of, I'm following this guy, but I don't know if I should be.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yep. Moving on to Game of the Year.
Yeah, it's a big one.
It is a big one. And the Golden Gauntlet for Game of the Year 2018 goes to...
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Not shocking.
No,
not shocking. Red Dead Redemption 2 is fantastic.
Yes.
It's not my choice.
What were our options, and what would you have picked?
The other nominees were Spider-Man, God of War,
Okay.
and Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
You probably would have picked Spider-Man, wouldn't you?
I would, because Spider-Man was a perfect game. Mm-hmm. Spider-Man was a perfect game all around. Great visuals, great gameplay from the beginning, great story where I felt like I was in a movie. I could say the same thing about Red Dead Redemption 2. Mm-hmm. The fluidity of everything, the minute that you start knowing how to swing, you feel like you're Spider-Man. It gets the edge because from the outset, just everything worked the way it was supposed to. You never felt confused about anything, where to go. It kind of guides you along. Whereas, listen, I know a lot of people appreciated this about Red Dead Redemption 2. It didn't hold your hand at all. Mm-hmm. This game was meant to be go out and figure this shit out for yourself, pretty much. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of people like that. And same thing, they changed it around with AC Odyssey a little bit. Like, we're not going to give you markers anymore if you don't want them.
Yeah.
Go and find these locations on your own. Spider-Man was perfect for me. My problem with Red Dead 2, it was a little too long. Mm-hmm. The controls were awful. Once you got to know them, they were fine. Mm-hmm. But, dude, I could be trying to get on my horse... and I'd accidentally knock someone out, and all of a sudden I have the whole fucking police force of Saint Denis on me.
That I didn't like about Red Dead 2.
I never ran into any controller or any kind of issue like that in Spider-Man. And that's kind of where the edge to me is. Like, I had an emotional investment the whole time through Spider-Man PS4, so that would be my pick for Game of the Year, with Red Dead a very, very close second.
See, I'm going to disagree with you, and I'm going to go with Red Dead 2. I felt that, you know, and kind of the same thing what we already talked about with open world game, is I felt the craftsmanship in the world, and don't get me wrong, I loved Spider-Man. I enjoyed it a great deal. You know, as for how close Red Dead 2 is as your second, that's Spider-Man for me. You know, it was a very cinematic experience. The whole final battle, you know, on the side of the building, you know, that was all Gucci. I enjoyed all of it. But I mean,
spoiler alert, I'm going to give you guys like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That Aunt May scene. I mean, come on, like that. I was like a little Onion Ninjas, man.
Yeah, I mean, but it kind of boiled down to the whole thing of like, yeah, I understand Aunt May's important to him, but you're trying to save numerous lives. I mean, I understand that, but like, let's be real here.
What would you do in that situation? You had to choose between basically your mom and the city of New York.
I mean,
I know what you would choose, but like, it would be the same kind of.
No, don't get me wrong. It would hurt, but at the same time, though, is that like I would think my mother wouldn't be like, "You need to save my freaking life," versus the millions in the city.
And Aunt May didn't. She's like, "You need to save the people."
Yeah.
So, but that scene was.
Yeah, I mean, it was a solid scene, but I'm still giving it to Red Dead 2. You know, as I said, Spider-Man close second.
It's deserving.
Yeah,
it absolutely is. But I felt more connected to Spider-Man. That's basically what it comes down to. We're going to move on back to the silver screen. Best movie character of 2018. The nominees were Miles Morales, Domino from Deadpool 2. Allie, I kind of regret putting her on this list now because it was more of a personal choice for me. It didn't really fit in with our other nominees, but she didn't win anyway, so it doesn't matter. She's from A Star is Born. And then Shuri from Black Panther. And the Golden Gauntlet goes to
Miles Morales, which I cannot argue with this. I totally agree with it. You know, Miles was pretty much a breath of fresh air. I enjoyed him highly. He was played perfectly, obviously, in terms of like the way he acted like a kid. I believed it. Like, 'cause that's one thing that some movies do, is that they try and act or play a kid and they don't pull it off.
Really. Miles Morales had a pretty big year, man.
Yeah.
He stars in Into a Spider-Verse. He has a huge role in the Spider-Man PS4 game. Yep. They just relaunched his series in Marvel Comics. I know for a fact that this movie made a lot of people go back and read Brian Michael Bendis's long run from all the way to Ultimate Spider-Man up into the new Miles Morales Spider-Man stories. He's had a great year, and Into the Spider-Verse really just tops it off for the character.
So I think we agree with that, so we can move on.
Move right along to Best Comic Book Movie of the Year. Your nominees: Black Panther, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Into the Spider-Verse, and Infinity War. And the winner is
Avengers Infinity War.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, like, a very close second is Into the Spider-Verse, but Infinity War took, like, 10 years of build-up and made it work.
10 years of build-up. It's a movie that shouldn't have worked in the first place. Like, it had every reason to fail when you're trying to do with that movie what you're trying to do, and it didn't. It gave you happiness, it gave you sorrow, it gave you the what the fuck moments. It's everything that making a real comic book movie, taking a comic book and putting it into a movie, it just takes.
Yeah, it basically it hit it out of the park. You know, and as I said, I enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse more than I could ever really say. But given the expectations it had coming into that movie, Infinity War delivered and then some.
Yep.
And that's why I totally agree with the people's choice, and I'm fully on board with it.
I think, like you said, I loved all these movies this year. It would be In the Spider-Verse second and Black Panther third.
Okay.
Best movie, and I just wanted to talk to you guys and to people that are listening later about our nominees this year. I think for next year we're going to kind of stick more towards like the video game and like comic book movie aspects, and leave the more serious stuff for the Oscars. So there'll be some things on here that won't be on next year, and we're going to add a couple of for next year's Golden Gauntlets. So we did a best picture one for this year, and we'll go through it. But we can pretty much guarantee that I think what ours will be next year is like what was again like the best comic book movie or best horror movie.
Something
what
like
was
that.
Like in our realm of what we like to talk about. But the nominees for best picture were A Quiet Place, Black Klansman, A Star Is Born, and They Shall Not Grow Old. And the Golden Gauntlet goes to
A Star Is Born.
I'm shocked actually by this. I mean, listen, like I loved A Star Is Born, but there are a lot of people like you who really loved. I thought this was going to win. They Shall Not Grow Old.
And that's
your pick.
That was my pick, and honestly, I knew it wasn't going to win because not a lot of people.
It was second place. It was winning for a while.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I mean, because and that's probably just due to the fact that like I have parroted this movie nonstop, and I didn't vote at all. I didn't vote in anything.
Yeah.
I never want to influence the vote. That actually surprises me. It was second. I wasn't aware of that. But I mean, that actually kind of gives me hope that like movies like it are something that can be done down the road. And as I said, like I talked about the movie at length last episode, and I'm glad it came second. I still haven't seen A Star Is Born. I'll probably Redbox it at some point just so that way I can watch it. I did see the Steelbook at Best Buy, and I was kind of like maybe, and I was like, no, I'm not.
Borrow mine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like, but the thing is, it's not a movie that grabs me. I'm not really big into the musical stories, movies, or anything like that. It is what it is. And I can acknowledge that it's just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
I will never say it's bad because it's not something I'm into.
I mean, I'm happy it's won. I need to borrow your copy of They Shall Not Grow Old. I own A Quiet Place and I've yet to watch it still. I have to find the right moment. I'm dying to see Black Klansman as well.
It's a solid movie. It's a solid movie.
Those were the 2018 Golden Gauntlets. Like we said, we are going to get rid of some of these for next year. We're going to add some next year.
Yeah, we'll refine the categories
a couple of
and go from there.
Maybe we'll even get a Golden Gauntlet for the table next year.
Oh, we'll just grab one of those big
here.
sons of bitches from the box here.
Yeah. That's our show. We hope you enjoyed watching us live. We maybe will do this maybe once a month or maybe once every couple of months to see how it goes if you guys liked it. Thank you, as always, to Wade's Comic Madness for lending us your space. If you've never been here and need your comic fix, this is the place to be. We will be back with a new episode a week from Tuesday. So we're recording right again this Sunday, and we hope you enjoyed the show. Have a good night.
To the moon, by a plane to the rocket.